Feldman is suing her ex-best friend, 24-year-old Emily Martinez, for vandalizing the inside of her home with pink paint and rotting meat.
Ms. Feldman, the defendant moved into a home that you share with your father, according to your complaint, and you had an argument. After a period of time, she moved out, and it is your claim that she vandalized the house. You want her to pay for the damage that she did in the house. Ms. Martinez said she did not vandalize the house, and she is counterclaiming. She says she wants damages because during the course of this argument, you assaulted her, right?
Yes.
When did you move in and why, Ms. Martinez?
I was persuaded by Stephanie to...
No, listen. When did you move in?
In September of '04.
Who did you move in with?
With my son's father, my fiancé at the time.
And what about your son?
He was with me as well.
What, did you have a room or an apartment?
It was a room.
Okay. When did you start to pay rent?
Immediately.
How much did you pay?
I paid $400 a month.
So far, is that right?
No.
No. When did she move in?
She moved in around September, like she said, but actually the first month that she moved in with Hugo, I didn't charge her. Because I'm the godmother of her son, I said, I'll do you the favor and you don't have to pay for the first month. And she gets public assistance, and I $41.50 twice a month for Emily staying there.
Were you getting welfare in September of 2004?
No. When I moved in with her, I moved in with my fiancé. We separated, and that's when I was out of work and I applied for public assistance.
Were they paying the rent?
Not initially. Initially,
when
we
did they start paying the rent?
Around November.
All right, good. So they paid the rent, $283.
I paid the difference.
Show me proof.
I don't have proof because we were best
friends. Did she pay any additional
No.
rent? She says you didn't give her additional money and that all she got for the room was $283 that she got from public assistance.
Yes.
Okay, keep going. What was the argument about and when did it occur?
Okay, it all started when she was no longer with Hugo. Hugo decided that he was going to move out. Her and Hugo broke up. She started dating this other guy named Fred, okay? My nephew let Hugo in the house while she was in the room with Fred. A whole thing started where Fred tried to stab Hugo, and Hugo had to jump out of the window. So I told her after that argument that, you know, this has to stop. The police came. I said, you know, I don't want this drama in my house.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Let me tell you why. I'm really...
Her ex-best friend, Emily Martinez, vandalized the inside of her home and her security deposit.
Okay, when did she finally move out?
April 7th, that was the 30-day. The first argument was on March 7th when I was speaking to my nephew about not shoveling. That's his responsibility to do. And she got into the argument. I said, Emily, please mind your business. And she wouldn't. So that's when I had asked her to leave. I said, if you're going to get into my family business...
That's when she claims you slapped her. Did you slap her?
No.
What'd
She
you
went
do?
to go hit me on the entrance door by her room, and I moved her hand out of the way out of self-defense. I'm going to see somebody hitting me and stand there.
Okay. Were you injured?
Yes.
Well, tell me about the injury.
Okay, she was in a violent rage. She is very violent. She has violent outbreaks towards her
You shouldn't have moved
father.
in with her if she was violent.
Well, I didn't realize that. You don't know these things till you move in with people. You never know someone till you live with them.
Show me pictures of your injuries.
I don't have any
Do
pictures.
you have a police
of
report about your injuries?
No, I don't.
All right. Could you get to the vandalism of the property, please? She moved out April 7th.
Yes. I was at work because I'm a supervisor in the after school. My father and my nephew were home.
Father?
Yeah.
Could you step up, please? What is your last name, sir?
Feldman.
Mr. Feldman, were you home on or about the 7th of April when Miss Martinez came in to get the remainder of her things?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
She took her stuff and she left. And when we came back, the back room was destroyed.
You have photographs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I see it, please?
And there's also photographs on the back as well. And that also has photographs of the meat that was planted in my apartment.
What is this pink stuff that was spilled all over the place?
That was the pink paint that she used. As you could see, it's the same color of the room. That pink paint was in Emily's possession, was never in my possession.
You also said that somebody put stuffed food around the house.
Yes. That day, when I walked in, I noticed a foul odor in my bedroom. And I couldn't figure out what it was, but I had people over, so I wasn't going to start searching all over. And the next day, I found chopped meat in my heater system, fish under my bed. That's what you see in the pictures. Chopped meat and pig's legs all over the house, behind my fridge, behind my bed wall. And
Anybody else have access to the house?
only the people that live with me, which is my dad, my nephew, and Millie, who is my godmother.
Go ahead.
Okay. She has an open house. She has a party house.
First, let's go with the pink paint.
Okay. I mean, that was planted after I left. This is all a retaliation because I called the police on her because she attacked me. I removed it.
Wait a second. Wait. She didn't attack you. You said she slapped you.
She was attacking me.
You said she slapped you, is what you said.
That's all she got in because I was...
Listen to me. You still vandalized the house.
That's
allegedly. You or what's the
Allegedly.
boyfriend's name?
Fred.
Fred. You or Fred.
Allegedly.
No, I have to make a decision whether that happened.
How is the evidence? Where's the evidence that I did that? She has an open house. Her door's never locked. There's guys coming in and out of her apartment all hours of the night.
Ms. Martinez, let me tell you why. I'm really comfortable, really comfortable finding that you vandalized the house.
How so?
If you're quiet, I'm going to explain it to you. And I want you to understand there's only one attitude in this room.
I'm not trying to have an attitude.
Good.
I just don't like being accused.
So I'm going to explain it to you because how long have you lived in this house?
That's been in my family for...
Shh. Listen to me. Listen to me. Have you found chopped meat in the heater system?
Not at all.
Never?
No.
Mr. Feldman, how many times have you found chopped meat in the heating system in the last 50 years?
Never.
How many times have you found paint spilled on the floor?
Never.
In 50 years?
Never.
So the only time...
police are in my house every
listen
week.
to me. I'm speaking now. You asked me... The world revolves around common sense.
Absolutely.
If it doesn't make sense, it's not true. If it makes sense, then more often than not, it's true. Now, she's had, according to you, an open house. Lots of people come in and out of the house. Mr. Feldman has lived there for 50 years. I'm sure he's had lots of people in and out of the house. It is too coincidental, and it belies credulity, which means it just doesn't make sense, that in the last 50 years, the only time that they've had trouble with vandalism in their house to this extent, in a room where you and Fred and Hugo had been living, and the only time she had meat found in the heating system is the day you moved out.
This is a case of single white female. She wants to be me. The problem was
Listen
that
to me,
I had
sweetheart.
a boyfriend and she wanted me to be hanging out with her every day. I had to be by her side every day.
She doesn't want to be you. Listen to me.
She has a serious psychological problem, and this is a retaliation against me.
Then you should have a different place to live.
I do.
In any event, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500, which is the cost of your cleanup, which is what you say. You should not have to clean up. I'm speaking. You won, so be quiet. You have a counterclaim for assault. I find that you weren't assaulted, so it's the...
Is a specific, soul-crushing kind of Tuesday afternoon where the only thing that stands between you and a complete existential crisis is the sharp, authoritative voice of Judge Judy Scheinlin echoing through your living room. You know the vibe. You're sitting there with a lukewarm coffee, wondering where your life went wrong, and then you see Miss Feldman and Emily Martinez, and suddenly, your own problems, like a late electricity bill or a slightly overgrown houseplant, seem like a luxury vacation in the Maldives. This particular episode isn't just a legal dispute. It's a Shakespearean tragedy rewritten by someone who had a psychotic break in a Home Depot paint aisle. We've all had that one best friend, who we thought was our soulmate until we actually had to share a bathroom with them. But this takes the roommate from hell trope and elevates it to a level of biological warfare that even a seasoned war correspondent would find distressing. The sheer audacity required to turn a heating system into a hiding spot for raw meat is a level of creativity that, quite frankly, wasted its potential on petty revenge when it could have been used to solve global logistics. Watching this, I felt a profound sense of secondhand embarrassment, mixed with a morbid fascination that only occurs when you witness a friendship dissolve into pink paint splatters and pig's feet. Anyone who has ever considered living with a friend, because it serves as a jagged, neon pink warning sign that the line between "I'll be the godmother of your child" and "I'm going to stuff fish under your bed" is thinner than the patience of a judge who has been on the bench for 30 years. It's a masterclass in human dysfunction, a symphony of illegibles, and a stark reminder that common sense is a rare currency in a world where grown adults think a window is a perfectly valid exit strategy during a domestic dispute involving a man named Fred. As I sat there, eyes glued to the screen, I realized that this wasn't just television. It was a cautionary tale about the limits of human empathy and the terrifying reality that you never truly know someone until you've shared a lease and a bottle of pink paint with them. It's the kind of episode that makes you want to go out, buy a deadbolt for every door in your house, and then personally apologize to your own roommates for that one time you forgot to take out the recycling. The curtain rises on Act 1, which I like to call the welfare waltz and the godmother's gambit, where we find our two protagonists, Stephanie Feldman and Emily Martinez, living in a state of blissful, subsidized ignorance back in September 2004. Stephanie, playing the role of the benevolent saint and godmother, lets Emily, her fiancé, she shares with her father. Now, the financial math here is muddier than a swamp in a hurricane, with Emily claiming she dropped $400 immediately while Stephanie insists she played the bestie card and waived the first month, eventually settling for a modest $283 from public assistance. It's the classic, he said, she said, of the low-income housing world, but the real drama starts brewing when the domestic harmony is shattered by the arrival of Act 2, defenestration, shovels, and the slap that wasn't. This is where the plot goes from a budget soap opera to a full-blown action flick without the production value. Hugo exits the stage, and enter Fred, the new boyfriend who apparently brings a knife to a roommate meeting. In a scene that I can only describe as peak cinematic absurdity, Stephanie's nephew lets Hugo back into the house while Emily is busy with Fred, leading to a confrontation where Fred allegedly tries to stab Hugo, forcing the latter to literally jump out of a window. If you aren't shouting parkour at your screen by this point, you aren't watching it right. Naturally, Stephanie, who just wants a quiet life without her tenants reenacting Assassin's Creed, tells Emily the drama has to end. Things reach a boiling point on March 7th over, of all things. Emily, who clearly hasn't mastered the art of minding her own business, jumps into the fray, leading Stephanie to serve an eviction notice. Emily retaliates with a claim of being slapped, which Stephanie characterizes as a move your hand out of the way maneuver of self-defense, a claim Emily supports with exactly 0 photos and 0 police reports, making her narrative about as sturdy as a wet paper towel. Finally, we reach the grand finale, Act 3, the heater grill and the $500 cleanup fee, which occurs on April 7th, moving day. While Stephanie is away supervising after-school programs, Emily supposedly moves the remainder of her things. When the Feldmans return, they are greeted by a visual and olfactory nightmare. Pink paint, Emily's signature shade, splattered everywhere, and a foul odor that would make a morgue attendant gag. We're talking chopped meat stuffed into the heating system, fish rotting under the bed, and pig's legs tucked behind the fridge like some kind of demonic scavenger hunt. Emily's defense is the single white female defense, claiming Stephanie wants to be her and that the house was an open-party house, where anyone could have committed meat-based vandalism. But Judge Judy, armed with the unstoppable power of common sense, the Feldman family had never once found a charcuterie board in their HVAC system until the very day Emily Martinez walked out the door. The logic is as sharp as Judy's lace collar. If it doesn't make sense, it isn't true. The curtain falls with Stephanie walking away with a $500 judgment for the cleanup and Emily's counterclaim for assault being tossed into the same trash bin as her rotting pig's feet. Diving deep into the psychological warfare that is Feldman versus Martinez, we have to talk about the absolute main character energy radiating off 24-year-old Emily Martinez, which is unfortunately being channeled into a performance that can only be described as a Razzie-winning attempt at victimhood. Watching Emily is like watching a masterclass in weaponized denial. She stands there with the poise of someone who truly believes that if she says the word, allegedly, enough times, the laws of physics and common sense will simply bend to her will. Her chemistry with Stephanie Feldman isn't just toxic, it's a radioactive spill that has been fermenting since 2004. You can see it in the way Stephanie speaks. She carries that "I did you a favor" energy like a heavy, gilded shield. Stephanie is the professional godmother, The woman who likely mentions her supervisor status at the after-school program twice before relationship, her need for order, is clearly what ended it. The friction here is palpable. You have a woman who prides herself on being the responsible one, versus a younger woman who seems to navigate life by jumping out of metaphorical and literal windows. When Emily drops this single white female bombshell, claiming Stephanie is obsessed with her and wants to be her, the irony is so thick you could carve it with a steak knife, though Emily would probably just hide that knife in a heater. It is the ultimate projection. Emily is a woman whose life involves men jumping through glass to escape her drama, yet she stands in front of Judge Judy claiming that the 50-year-old resident and his daughter are the ones with the psychological problem. It's a fascinating look at the "I'm rubber, you're glue" defense strategy. Stephanie's facial expressions are a journey of their own. She doesn't just look angry. She looks deeply offended that her godmother credentials have been so thoroughly trampled by someone who thinks pink paint is a personality trait. And then there's the silent protagonist, Mr. Feldman. This man has lived in this house for half a century. He represents the before times, a prehistoric era where people didn't find pigs' feet in their HVAC systems. His presence provides a grounding, almost mournful contrast to the chaotic neons he's never found meat in the heater in 50 years. It isn't just testimony. It's an indictment of a generation of drama he clearly didn't sign up for. The interaction between Emily and Judy is where the drama really peaks. Emily tries to play the cool, unbothered card, but you can see the cracks in her facade every time Judy cuts through her nonsense with a sharp shove. Emily's attempt to paint Stephanie as a violent person who attacks her falls completely flat because she lacks the receipts. No photos, no police reports, just vibes. Meanwhile, Stephanie has the ultimate receipts, literal Polaroids of a biological hazard. The power dynamic shifts the moment the meat is mentioned. Stephanie goes from annoyed landlord to aggrieved victim of a cult ritual, and Emily retreats into a defensive crouch of "it was a party house." The drama here is a classic study in the death of a friendship where boundaries were never established. Stephanie felt she owned Emily's loyalty because of the godmother status and the rent favors, while Emily felt entitled to turn the home into a revolving door for men named Fred and Hugo. The chemistry is that of two people who've spent too much time in a small space, breathing the same air, until one of them finally snapped and decided that the only way to leave was to leave a mark, meat-scented mark. Emily's refusal to take accountability, even when faced with the sheer impossibility of anyone else having the motive or the specific pink paint to commit the crime, is a fascinating display of cognitive dissonance. She isn't just lying to the court, she's lying to herself, perhaps believing that if she can convince Judy she was the hunted one in a single white female scenario, the $500 in damages will just evaporate. But in the theater of Judge Judy, vibes don't win cases. Logic does, and the logic here says that Emily Martinez is a one-woman wrecking crew who mistook a courtroom for a confessional where she could dump her baggage and walk away clean. The sheer audacity of her counterclaim for assault, while having zero evidence of an injury, shows a person who uses the legal system as a weapon of spite rather than a tool for justice. It's a performance of the girl who cried wolf if the wolf was actually a godmother who just wanted her rent paid on time. Watching Stephanie's father step up to the bench was the final nail in the coffin of Emily's credibility. His stoicism acted as a mirror, reflecting just how loud and messy Emily's defense actually was. The chemistry between the father and daughter is one of shared exhaustion. They are a united front against the chaos that Emily brought into their lives. Plaintiff sighed when Judy shuts down Emily's party house narrative. It wasn't just a legal victory for Stephanie, it was a psychological exorcism of a best friend who turned out to be a nightmare in a 24-year-old's clothing. The way Emily continues to talk over the verdict, insisting she doesn't like being accused, is the cherry on top of this dysfunctional Sunday. She doesn't like being accused, yet she has no problem accusing her former friend of a deep-seated obsession. It's a classic mean girl pivot that fails spectacularly because Judy has seen it 1,000 times before. The drama of this episode isn't just in the vandalism, it's in the total disintegration of trust and the realization that sometimes the person you let into your home is the one who will eventually try to burn it down, or at least make it smell like a butcher shop in July. Now, let's talk about the invisible architect behind this chaotic masterpiece, the production team and that heavy-handed director's hand that makes daytime court television the addictive junk food of our collective consciousness. In this episode, the editing isn't just a tool, it's a character in its own right, expertly weaving a narrative that feels both like a fever dream and a meticulously paced thriller. One cannot help but notice the timing of the visual reveals, the way they for us to see the "I'm about to ruin this girl's whole career" look before she hands over the photographs of the pink paint and the meat-stuffed heaters. The director clearly knows that in the world of Judge Judy, the evidence reveal is the money shot, and they milk it for every ounce of shock value possible. There's a certain rhythmic quality to the way the sound effects are layered in. Notice the subtle, almost imperceptible low-frequency hum that builds when Emily is digging herself into a hole about the party house defense, only to be punctuated by the sharp, metallic snap of Judy's shah. It's a sonic environment designed to keep your blood pressure slightly elevated. And let's discuss this single white female comment. Did Ms. Feldman come up with that iconic early 2000s cinematic reference on her own? Or was there a producer in the hallway whispering, "Hey, remember that movie with Bridget Fonda? Use that." Whether it was organic or a suggested narrative beat, it landed with the impact of a sledgehammer, giving the editors the perfect, viral moment to cut to a reaction shot of Emily's bewildered face. The seams of the production show most clearly in the way the conflict is condensed. We go from a lease agreement to a man jumping out of a window in approximately 45 seconds of screen time. That's not just fast storytelling, that's the attention span of a goldfish on espresso. They've trimmed away all the boring legal jargon, the stuff about security deposits and notice periods, to focus entirely on the meat scandal. It makes you wonder, how much of this was a natural progression of a lawsuit, and how much was guided by producers who saw pink paint and rotting pigs' feet on a case file and realized they had hit the daytime TV jackpot? The way the camera pivots to Mr. Feldman, the elderly father, is another brilliant directorial choice. He is used as a visual anchor of truth, the stoic, silent witness whose very existence makes Emily's frantic, multi-layered excuses look even more ridiculous. Each cut to his weary, "I've seen too much" expression is a silent editorial on the validity of the claims. Even the way the pink paint is discussed feels slightly staged for maximum visual impact. The producers likely made sure those photos were front and center because pink on a gray heater is a color story that pops on screen. Is it fake? Probably not in the sense that these people didn't actually hate each other, but it is certainly enhanced to fit the Judge Judy brand of high-octane moral lecturing. The pacing of the rebuttal is also suspicious. Emily is allowed just enough rope to hang herself with her pre-planned logical trap. It's a beautiful dance between the judge and the control room. The slow-motion replay might not be physically present, but the editing creates a mental slow-motion effect where every stutter from Emily is magnified. The hat sand flaws are there if you look. The way the lighting seems to change slightly between shots, suggesting that some of those quick exchanges might have been edited together from a much longer, more tedious argument. But as a viewer, you don't care because the hand of the director has successfully transformed a petty small claims case into a grand battle between civility and chaos. It's reality TV at its most curated, where every "listen to me" and every "I'm uncomfortable" is a beat in a carefully composed symphony of dysfunction. The director isn't just showing us a trial, they're selling us a morality play where the villain is clearly marked in neon pink paint from the first frame. It's smart, it's manipulative, and it's why we're still talking about it 20 years later. The use of the victim narrative by Emily was likely encouraged during pre-interviews to set up the ultimate Judgment Day moment. The chemistry of the room is manipulated to feel like a pressure cooker, and the Bon Te Dao Dien is the one turning up the heat, knowing exactly when the meat, both literal and metaphorical media that feels natural, only because we've been trained to accept this specific brand of theatrical justice, where the background music is composed of gasps and the script is written in the blood of 1,000 broken friendships. If we step back from the pink-splattered walls and the biological hazard that used to be a heater, the ultimate VO nonsensical lesson from this saga is shockingly simple. If you are planning to commit a crime involving raw meat and household appliances, perhaps don't do it on the exact day you are the only person with a motive, a key, and a known affinity for the color of the evidence. It sounds like common sense, but as Judge Judy so eloquently pointed out, common sense is a vanishing resource, much like the oxygen in a room where someone has hidden rotting fish under the bed. Looking at this through a modern cultural lens, Emily Martinez is essentially the patron saint of the delusional, Delulu era, but without the charm. She represents that specific brand of toxic friendship where boundaries are treated as mere suggestions and personal space is a concept that died the moment she was asked to pay rent. In today's world of TikTok, roommate horror stories, and Reddit, Am I the Asshole threads, this episode would be a viral sensation, not just for the vandalism, but for the sheer red flag. And if you ever find yourself in a house where a man named Fred is causing people to jump out of windows to avoid being stabbed, that is not a party house. That is a sign from the universe that your lease needs to end immediately. The cultural fascination with this single white female trope, which Stephanie weaponized so effectively in court, speaks to our deep-seated fear of the obsessed friend who wants to wear our skin, or at least our favorite shade of pink. It's a classic manifestation of the main character syndrome, where Emily truly believed she could rewrite reality to make herself the victim of a grand obsession rather than just a tenant who didn't want to clean up. The lesson here for the Gen Z and millennial viewers is the absolute necessity of receipts. We live in an era of screenshots and cloud storage, yet Emily showed up to a televised court case with vibes and allegedlys. In the court of public opinion, and definitely in Judge Judy's court, if you don't have the photo, it didn't happen, but if they have the photo of the pig's feet, you are definitely going to pay the $500. There is also a profound lesson here about the godmother trap. Just because someone held a baby over a font 20 years ago doesn't mean they won't see you for destroying their HVAC system today. Spiritual bonds are no match for biological warfare. Ultimately, this episode teaches us that it's the best friend who knows exactly where your heater vents are located. It's a reminder to keep your circles small, your rent paid, and your meat in the freezer where it belongs. As we navigate a world increasingly filled with Freds and window-jumping Hugos, let us all strive to be a little more like Stephanie's father, quiet, observant, and capable of living 50 years in a house without ever once feeling the need to stuff a pig's leg behind the refrigerator. Because at the end of the day, justice might be blind, but it definitely has a very sensitive nose for rotting fish.